Hey, what's good, everybody? Mike Davis here. Sound Off Sports from the Den inside Fox 5 Studios. Big time show today. We're going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers. Is he a good fit with the Raiders? Plus, which All-Star game did you prefer, the NBA or the NHLs? A lot of good stuff going on. SOS starts right now.
Make some noise. This is Sound Off Sports, sponsored by Sam and Ash.
Should the Raiders consider signing Aaron Rodgers? Mark Phillips on Facebook says, the same question many desperate teams are asking. Rodgers needs to retire and owners need to stop dreaming for a quick fix.
All right, great call there. Kicking us off here on Sound Off Sports, Mike Davis along with James Edward Berkman the fourth. James, we're wearing that fresh NBA G League up next game.
Shout out to our friends at the G League, man. Thank you to Gianna Hearn. She was up in San Fran for All-Star Weekend.
Beautiful jersey. Make sure you go check out NBA G League Takeover, one of our other great shows here at Triple SEN. But Mark Phillips, tremendous call there. We asked everybody at home, should the Raiders in fact sign Aaron Rodgers? As the Jets inform Aaron Rodgers, he's no longer going to be a part of New York in 2026. I agree with Mark Phillips. I mean, I'm a little split here. As a talk show host in Las Vegas, I would like to see the Raiders have Aaron Rodgers because it would just be a disaster and it would be
a lot of fun to cover. Absolutely. No question.
And there's a lot of storylines that come with it. But if we love our Las Vegas Raiders, then that can't be the direction you want to go. You finally got John Spytek. You finally get Pete Carroll. You finally have adults in the building. Tom Brady leading the way. You have all this good momentum going to clean up what's been going on the past few years. Now, if you bring in Aaron Rodgers, you're giving up all that positive momentum. You're going back to kind of a player first, not team first kind of guy. And you can't want that if you're a Raiders fan.
For a team that is trying to relearn how to be a winning football team, and you're doing all these good things, bringing in Pete Carroll, who I'm basically just going to reiterate everything that you just said because I agree 100%. You bring in Pete Carroll, John Spytek, guys who are supposed to come in and set a culture. I think Aaron Rodgers would undo a lot of that positive momentum.
100%. The question now becomes, though, at 41 years old, can Aaron Rodgers still, in fact, make history and win a Super Bowl? We all know Tom Brady at 43 won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in 21. We know Peyton Manning at 37 with his second franchise, the Denver Broncos, won a Super Bowl in 2013. There's only a select handful of guys who really have had productive careers, at an advanced age like that. So, is Aaron still capable? Potentially, but I think you're dealing with a lot more than just talent. You're dealing with negative intangibles. He's the opposite of intangibles. This is a guy who brings a lot of baggage with him to the situation, and maybe the Raiders were like that in the past, but they have graduated, and I think they finally have adults in the room making adult decisions. This sounds the sniff test would say a year or two ago, this is a perfect fit.
Oh my God, yeah.
But now we've elevated, we've grown, we've matured.
Tom Brady's making some decisions now. They're hiring adult head coaches with a lot of experience. Everybody seems to be very happy with the John Spytek hire.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers, although I do think there is a place for him in the league.
And I want to, before we go to one more call, I do want to give a shout out to Mark Phillips, who did that great call for us off the top of the show, because there is no quick fix, and he's 100% correct. And I think part of the maturation process for franchises is understanding there is no quick fix. You can't put a Band-Aid on a situation like signing Aaron Rodgers and believing now you're Super Bowl contenders, because you're not. It's just, he doesn't change. He's not the final piece, to the equation. There's so many other pieces that need to be made before he comes into the frame. But let's hear another great thought from somebody at home.
Yes, I think Aaron Rodgers should give it a shot with the Raiders. What do they got to lose? Another season won't make a difference.
Well, they have just a lot of positive momentum to lose, and if you want to get to the promised land, you can't keep doing Hail Marys. You got to have some positive momentum. But, James, let's hear another great call from somebody at home.
He needs to go to a real team. He's too good for the one out here. That's just coming from non-Raider fan. He needs to go to like Tennessee Titans or one of the teams that really need a quarterback that has a good team to back him up. He needs a good line to block for him.
Another great call there. Here's the interesting thing, James. In 2024, 17 games he played, threw for just over 3,800 yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. It was better than his last season in Green Bay, the season he had this year. So he still has some of that ability.
He played well down the stretch. Like, there is a place for Aaron Rodgers in the league. I just don't think if you're the Raiders, that's the guy you want on your team. Hear me out.
Where should he go? Because I feel like the amount of NFL franchises that could use him where it makes sense are dwindling.
Reportedly, the Aaron Rodgers free agent market isn't going to be a big one. However, I think, assuming Minnesota doesn't want to keep Sam Darnold around, and you don't really know what you have with J.J. McCarthy, follow that Brett Favre career arc and bring that dude to Minnesota. Why not?
He could, from
the same perspective, you don't want him for the same reason the Raiders don't want him. You don't want him to ruin what you potentially have as a good thing, a team-first culture there. But I think maybe the Vikings, if they don't retain Sam Darnold, might need a quarterback.
All right. Also, your Steelers, there's a lot of rumors out there regarding
Let me put that one to bed right now. We are good on Aaron Rodgers.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with Aaron Rodgers. Guys, coming up after a short break, we're going to be talking to two great guys I know for a long time that are really changing the game when it comes to dating and TV shows. Can't wait to hear from Brandon Berman and Harrison Foreman.
Should the Raiders consider signing Aaron Rodgers? At Chris4Aces on X says, if the Raiders want any primetime games, the answer is yes. Maybe he'll show up to training camp on time. Nah, he won't.
Two great guys from my past. I actually set them up together. You guys probably follow them on Instagram, on TikTok, over 1 million followers, even close to 1 million on YouTube. It's the creators behind Updating. Harrison Foreman, Brandon Berman. They make magic live on stage when it comes to dating. Here's my exclusive interview with these two guys before they bring the show here to Town Square at Wise Guys this Sunday. You guys are coming to Las Vegas. You're coming to Wise Guys Sunday here at Town Square. $35. That's the best price for a ticket I've ever seen. I mean, you guys are going to want to come out to see Updating in person. You've seen it on your phone. You've seen it on YouTube, and now you got to see it in person. But let's start from the beginning, guys, because obviously this is the most raw dating show experience out there. We all know Love is Blind. We all know The Bachelor. We all know these things. But the story of how this came together kind of deals with me a little bit.
I could cry right now. Seeing you, being on this call, Brandon and I met our journey 10 years ago because of Las Vegas's very own Mike Davis.
What happened? What happened? Remind me of the story.
Well, you and I were, because Mike and I grew up together. You and I were working on some stuff, and I remember you knew Brandon, and you hit me up one time like, yo, there's this dude, Brandon Berman. He's the funniest guy I've ever met. I feel like you guys might work together. And we hopped on a call. You were in a pitch black basement in Long Island.
College. I was still in college.
You were still in college.
And I remember that call verbatim. You were wearing a white shirt. I was on my couch, my laptop open. I have a very good memory.
Right.
We were at the time, we're all young. I was probably 18 or 19 at the time. You guys are a couple years older than me. And, we were all like, thinking, and this was way before like social media was.
Let me give a little more detail here. Let me give a little detail here. Harrison, you and I go back so long. We love each other. Shout out to Dave Foreman. He always treated me like I was, LeBron James, drafting me first round pick in JCC basketball league. Shout out to Dave Foreman.
He is obsessed with you.
Because I was a character guy. Like, yeah, sure, I had the skills, but the intangibles I brought to a Jewish basketball team, those are unmatched, So Harrison and I grew up together, knew each other. Brandon, you and I are working as interns at the Howard Stern show, and you were kind of my disciple, and nobody makes me laugh, really, besides like Howard Stern, David Letterman, and Adam Sandler, Will Ferrell, like a few people on earth, Tracy Morgan, Chris Rock. And then I meet this guy Brandon Berman, who's literally the funniest person I've ever met. And I'm like, there's something here. And I connected you two, and I actually came up with the name Updating. Like, is this out in the ether? Because it should be. I actually did come up with that.
I do remember that very well, actually, because I remember walking around San Francisco, and this was the old version, when it was just on social media. And I was like, yeah, I think it's like Date Night Live or something. You're like, you know what? Like, I like Updating. And I was like, that's the worst. That is the worst name I've ever heard. Like, this would not work.
Well, yeah, and I think Harrison was doing that thing where he was going on dates and then going on Facebook Live mid-date. And I don't know if this is the exact, but like you were updating on that.
Right.
And then that somehow, and I think when Harrison and me were working on the concept for a live show, I'm like, all these names are so lame. And like what he was doing with that, I'm like, the name Updating, like it just had a ring to it.
100%. But I want to give credit to Harrison too, because yes, Brandon, you're a comedian. You were cutting your chops with that. Harrison is one of the best, not only writers that I had ever met, because he was doing a lot of blogging. He was talking. There was a show Aziz Ansari had on Netflix, and he wrote like such an eloquent, beautiful piece about that. But Harrison was kind of like the original Alex Earl, just even hotter. Like
I was gonna say producer.
That is giving me the flowers.
No, but like Braxton Berrios would have dated Harrison if he met you, but before Alex Earl. But here's really the serious thing. Like Harrison was, and what I mean by that, I'm making jokes, but I'm also, Alex Earl came to fame because of how willing she was to be open about her life with her followers as an influencer. So before TikTok, before Instagram, Harrison was always on the cutting edge of technology. And when Facebook Live was big, Harrison and I had a business while I was working at NFL Films, where it really wasn't a business. It was, two Jewish guys who couldn't find a girlfriend blogging. But
it was a website. But it was we had this big vision of like a media company for people in their 20s who were single, getting laid off from jobs. And I was writing, looking back at some of the stuff I was putting on the internet, I'm like, you were telling people you were crying at 2 a.m. from not getting from getting ghosted. I was putting these insane things on the internet.
What's funny is now he would really fit in.
Great talking to those guys. Go to our YouTube page to hear the full interview. Silver State Sports. Coming up after a short break, we're talking All-Star games. NHL or NBA? Which one did you like better? We're breaking it down next.
Who won All-Star Weekend, the NHL or the NBA? Adam Clendaniel on Facebook says, who is actually going to say they prefer NBA All-Star to Four Nations?
Welcome back to Sound of Sports. Mike Davis, James Everett Berkman, the fourth. We asked everybody at home which All-Star game was better, the NHL's or the NBA's. This is where I want to start, James. I have a lot of thoughts. I know you're more of a hockey guy. I'm more of an NBA guy. So we're kind of the two perfect guys to battle on this. But before we break it down, let's hear another thought from somebody at home.
How's it going, Mike? I'm choosing hockey over NBA all day. NBA is not even entertaining no more. You get to the hockey, they fighting before you can drop the puck. I'm hoping USA can bring it home.
So great call there. Yep. Thanks for giving us a buzz. I mean, he's 100% right. Listen, a lot of this is about intensity, enthusiasm, and just caring.
That's 100% what it's about. And it's about effort. That's all people are asking for.
And people love the Four Nations face-off because you can tell it matters to these guys. They're fighting. They're playing for pride. They're playing for a lot of things.
It speaks to what happens when you just put a man's country on his jersey. You get what we saw this past weekend and what was a spectacle and something we'll remember in the hockey world for a long time.
It's very surprising stuff. And I think, listen, the NBA has been weak for a long time with the All-Star game. I love All-Star game weekend, the festivities. I'm a fan. And there still is a lot of problems when it comes to the NBA and the All-Star game weekend. Just put it this way. There's no consistency, right? So the All-Star game in 2023 was Team Giannis versus Team LeBron James. Mm-hmm. Then in 2024, they go back to East and West. And then this year, there's 4 different teams. There's Team Chuck, There's Team Shaq. There's Team Candace. Like,
there's no continuity.
There's no continuity. We can't figure anything out. And a lot of these guys, what are they playing for? Becomes the problem.
There's nothing to play for. And I understand why dudes don't want to play, because it's this dumb game that has no real history by format anymore. You're risking injury. Why would they go out there and give it everything they got? There's no incentive.
I feel like there's been thoughts in the past where, okay, we're going to do home court advantage for, the NBA finals. They're trying to come up with different types of things, but at the end of the day, I don't know if you should want to incentivize NBA players with money to care about the All-Star game. It should kind of be a privilege to be there and to be able to play, and I don't know how to make it work. I definitely think they should go back to East versus West. I think when it comes to the other events of the weekend, there's a lot of issues. I think the skills challenge is completely dreadful. It's uninteresting. Nobody can understand the rules even. It doesn't make any sense. They should just swap that for like a one-on-one. To me, I think they should add one-on-one to the All-Star game weekend.
3-on-3 or
would be fun. That's an easy thing there. The slam dunk contest, the issue with that is that nobody of interest competes. I mean, you have Mac McClung, who's the face of the G League, which is great, but he's not really an NBA player. You have Obi Toppin, Anthony Simons, Derek Jones Jr., Hamid Diallo are the last winners of the dunk contest before Mac McClung.
Nobody knows who those guys are.
Nobody knows
Your
who they
average
are.
fan does not know who that is.
The last superstar to win the dunk contest was 2018 Donovan Mitchell. So that was the last time you actually had an All-Star.
Even he doesn't necessarily move the needle from a ratings perspective.
So you need Giannis, you need Zion, you need Ja Morant, you need LeBron, you need people that care about it, and that's the big issue. And that's where I'm at with things. So I think you go back to East versus West, you play one-on-one instead of the skills challenge, and you got to incentivize superstars to be in the dunk contest. And then I think you fix All-Star Weekend.
It used to just be enough to get invited to play against the other players, the other best players in the world. That used to just be enough. It's not anymore. That competitive edge has been lost, and I think that's part of why you're seeing NBA ratings dropping as a collective, not just for All-Star Weekend. It's that kind of culture where there used to be a competitive edge, and these dudes used to be actual rivals and want to just beat each other. They would do this for free. They just want to be able to say, I am better than you. It's not the same way anymore. No. And I think that's part of what the NBA is losing.
And I think the NFL has, the power of non-guaranteed contracts. There's, certain players get guaranteed deals, but a lot of these guys are playing for money. I mean, it's not in the books, what they're going to make and the incentives and all those things that come into the contract. But James, let's get another person's take on who won All-Star Weekend.
As far as the Four Nations in basketball, Four Nations by far was the way to go. I mean, those guys, they're playing like it's a playoff game. They're really playing hockey like they should. So that's why I think basketball, who cares?
Thank you so much to Larry Abrams for giving us a call. Remember, you can always give us a buzz here at Sound Off Sports, 702-855-3502. We always love to hear from you. We've been getting so many great calls and responses, James.
I feel like we're getting a lot of pro hockey responses here, and I mean, that's as to be expected. We are in Vegas, very much a pro hockey town, but the ratings, I think, speak for themselves. Real quickly on this before we go to break. The Four Nations Face-Off, 10.1 million viewers across North America. That's the highest total since 2014 on any hockey game outside of a cup final. The NBA All-Star Game, 4.7 million viewers. The second least watched All-Star Game in 25 years.
Oh, my God.
Ratings speak for themselves.
Ratings speak for themselves, James. Coming up after a short break, it's sink or swim time here on SOS. Join us after these words.
Who won All-Star Weekend, the NHL or the NBA? At Demetrius Dro on X says, yeah, why not? Four Nations face-off. NBA All-Star Weekend has been trash for quite some time.
Welcome back to Sound of Sports. Mike Davis, James Edward Barrickman IV. Pretty cool video circulating online. Cam Ward former University of Miami Hurricanes quarterback, and Shedeur Sanders, son of Dion, and of course the former quarterback with the Colorado Buffaloes, Boulder. Listen, they were practicing on this video that's circulating at the Fertitta complex at UNLV on the football field, throwing the ball around. These are the two most sought-after quarterbacks in the draft. Some people saying they can go as high as number 1. Some saying they could fall to even 6, where the Las Vegas Raiders are selecting. James, if you're plugged into college football even more so than I am, who would you want as your quarterback if you had to choose between those two guys? Let's just say you're the Titans and you're picking first in the NFL draft. Which guy would you take?
I need to do more tape watching on both of these guys, but if I had to pick one right now, I'm going with Shedeur Sanders. Just everything I watched at Colorado, he did it for 2 years there, but behind horrid O-line play. He has an electric arm, playmaking ability, not the best athlete, not close to the athlete Cam Ward is, and a little bit smaller than Cam Ward is, but I would take Shedeur Sanders only because, not that I don't love the prospect that Cam Ward is. I do. He's a great athlete with a rocket for an arm and had an amazing year with your Hurricanes. But where was this with Washington State?
Right.
Where was this at his other stops? Shedeur Sanders has done it just a little bit more consistently for me. So right now, on this day, I would go with Shedeur Sanders, but that's not to say I won't change my mind by draft day.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. The guys are a lot closer, I think, in similarity than people think in terms of where they're probably going to be ranked and evaluated from professional scouts. It is interesting, begging the question of Cam Ward and what he did prior, but Jaden Daniels was a guy too who goes to LSU and everything changed with him with the narrative. So, and look what he has done. So
yeah, we will see. We will see.
All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in to Sound Off Sports here at the Den of Fox 5 Studios. We'll see you next time on Sound Off Sports.